For more than 4 decades in Cameron. They're sitting just under the baseline here. First game that Mike Krzyzewski has attended since retiring. Duke is wearing the Coach K grays, as they call them. Gray as a nod to his days at Army, the gold signifying the gold medals he won as the head coach of USA basketball, the Fighting Irish in the dark uniforms. And Filipowski didn't get fouled, did make the basket, and Duke's up 2-0.
Not a surprise to see Koshire get Filipowski going early.
7 times he's been ACC Rookie of the Week, but that Virginia defense sort of vexed him, though the strong move at the end that has been discussed and cussed, at least among Duke faithful, for the better part of the last few days. Good cut to the basket. Krzyzewski gets fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Notre Dame knows Duke is going to switch 1 through 5 with Derek Lively on the floor because he can guard and bust up ball screen action. So if you move the ball and you cut hard, it's a great backdoor cut on the weak side by Krzyzewski.
Nate, we mentioned in the open, 33 against Virginia Tech. He's an excellent free throw shooter at 86%. Two-time team captain. It's the Fighting Irish on the board. The Irish just 2-12 in ACC play. As Debbie mentioned off the top, the last time they were in Cameron in front of no fans, they got a 93-89 victory. It's their only victory in the last 9 tries against the Blue Devils, and Krzyzewski has his first 2 of the night. And we're even up. The Duke lineup is a familiar one, full of freshmen in addition to Jeremy Roach, who has just been sensational, 99 points over his last 7 games, and the Fighting Irish showing a little zone depth.
3-quarter court pressure back into the zone. Filipowski 2 for 2 to start the game for Duke.
The Fighting Irish, with a bit of a tweak to their lineup, is J.J. Starling, the McDonald's All-American, is back in the starting lineup. Mike Bray feeling that he functions a little better, getting things started early. Van Allen Lubin is in as well. He is a freshman out of Orlando, and Filipowski pulls away the rebound.
Notre Dame going zone on make, man on miss right now defensively.
Now, Notre Dame doesn't foul much, and turnovers have been a thorn in the side of this Blue Devil offense, but Notre Dame doesn't force many of those, among the bottom 12 or so teams in the country in terms of numbers of turnovers forced, and Jeremy Roach gets his first bucket.
Which means if you move the ball and you go side to side, you're going to have opportunities. If you think get a piece of the paint and kick, you should be open. It's not going to be an up-the-line defensive effort.
Marcus Hammond, the transfer from Niagara, loses the handle momentarily, but Cormac Ryan had a big game where the Fighting Irish won here a couple of years ago. He had 28 that night, and now he's got 3.
Taking advantage of that switch. And you know Cormac Ryan can shoot the 3, one of their better 3-point shooters by percentage for Notre Dame.
Filipowski working on Krzyzewski. Good defense from Nate. Notre Dame, not a team that's noted for its defense, but they have the Blue Devils deep in the shot clock. Filipowski for 3. The Irish get the rebound. It's Lubin coming up with it.
Lubin's a 6'8" freshman. This is his 3rd start of the season. He's averaged 12 points in the last 2 starts. They need some size against Duke on the glass.
Starling drives, fortunate to retain possession as Hammond gets it, and the lefty puts it down. The transfer from Niagara, who played for former Duke point guard Greg Paulus during his time there, puts Notre Dame on top by 1.
The ACC logo area open against the 2-3 zone.
Filipowski strong, but he can't get it to fall. Hammond has the rebound. Hammond's had a little trouble with the handles a couple of times, but hasn't had a turnover yet. Ryan feeling it. Cormac Ryan wide right. And it'll be out of bounds. It'll belong to the Blue Devils. There is Mike Bray, the winningest coach in Notre Dame history, stepping down at the end of this season. It's been a tough year for the Fighting Irish and for Bray. His team won 15 ACC games last year, but this year, a lot of those close wins have turned into close losses, and Notre Dame has dropped 7 of its last 8. Of course, Bray was an assistant here at Duke for 8 years. One of the reasons that Mike Krzyzewski is in Cameron tonight to watch Duke and the Fighting Irish.
Mike Krzyzewski's first time in Cameron watching the Blue Devils live.
Well, Bray helped him to 6 Final Fours and 2 national championships. It's the least he could do, come and say goodbye. We'll show you the fabulous parting gift that Coach K gave him during practice as Hammond now has 4. Notre Dame has a 3-point lead. I think Duke was willing to honor Bray during the game in front of the crowd, and Mike sort of would have none of it. Back pass down low, and Derek Lively, now 35 of his 46 field goals are dunks. And Mickey Krzyzewski happy with what she sees on this Valentine's Day night. The Krzyzewskis in the house to watch the Blue Devils and the Fighting Irish here on Super Tuesday. Away from DeMatha, and Bray says that's where everything really started for him in terms of his career, and it has been a fabulous one, twice taking Notre Dame to the Elite 8 and the cusp of making the Final Four. In fact, Debbie, Mike Krzyzewski's last national championship team in 2015 lost 4 games all season. 2 of them were to Mike Bray and Notre Dame. They almost saw them again in the Final Four, or would have had an opportunity to, I should say, as Fighting Irish came up just short against that Kentucky team that was undefeated until the Final Four in 2015.
Pat Connaughton in the backcourt. That was a really good Notre Dame team. Made a nice run through Greensboro for the ACC championship.
Van Allen Lubin is just 1 of 10 on the season in 3-point shots. And while Mike Bray often encourages his team to play loose and go ahead, take a bad shot, that might be Van Allen's quota of the bad shots for the night. Here's Hammond, who's been off to a hot start. He left the 3 short. Tyrese Proctor had it for a second, and Jacob Grandison, the grad transfer from Illinois, picks it up. There's Lively off the window.
We watched Lively working out today, working on that very move. When he catches it that deep in front of the rim, it is really tough to stop the 7'1" post player inside.
Debbie Derek Whitehead has entered the game for Duke as well. The freshman who's battled injuries a couple of times, had 10 points on Saturday against Virginia in his return after missing the previous 4 games.
He really helps stretch the floor offensively. You have to guard him.
Now that is Van Allen Lubin's game.
There you go. That's where he should catch it. That's a quality catch for him in the paint where he can make a play.
So the Irish off to a good start here, trying to hang in against the Duke team, which has lost its last 2 following its victory against the Tar Heels in this building about a week and a half ago. Here is Whitehead from the corner.
A contested triple. Dane Goodwin there on the catch. Hit a couple of corner threes in that Virginia game in the second half.
He was rated as the #1 small forward by ESPN.com coming out of high school. He had the foot fracture in the offseason that slowed the development at the start. But when he's been in, he has been terribly effective. And Dane Goodwin into the game and into the box score. Another corner 3, this time from Roach, is no good. And Roach almost picked off the pass headed for Cormac Ryan. Notre Dame's going to make you guard for a great majority of the shot clock unless Krzyzewski just fires one up. But generally speaking, they'll get you deep in the clock. Their games move quickly because they don't foul. Already we're headed toward the 12-minute media time.
It's clean. They don't turn it over. They do take you deep into the clock. They get into their second and third options offensively. Remember, there's 6 graduate students on this team. There's an older veteran group that know how to play.
You mentioned that ACC area just inside the foul line where you tried to attack that zone that Notre Dame was in that time. I think Grandison might have had an opportunity. He sort of stumbled a little bit on the catch in there as he made the cut inside. Now in the 13 all game inside, 12 minutes to go. Here's Hammond again from the baseline. Hammond's another guy. He injured a knee in the offseason, or in the preseason rather, that set him back a little bit. They brought him in to give some veteran leadership, maybe give J.J. Starling a little time to develop, and he's starting to play his best basketball. He's averaged 11.5 over his last 8, and Notre Dame might not force turnovers, but they'll take unforced ones, and that's really what that was in the Irish. The 11:37 mark with a 2-point lead. How about Derek Whitehead knocking down the 3?
And you overhelp, you pinch in the paint. He can stretch that D. What a great start for Derek Whitehead for Duke.
Basketball game for more Black History storytelling and coverage. Stream the Black History Always collection on ESPN+. That is a fascinating.
It is.
Fascinating.
Coach McClendon, the Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer.
You hear a lot of stories about 10, 20 years later of games like when Mississippi State slipped out of the state to go play Loyola because they weren't permitted to play in integrated games. But this is a fascinating one between North Carolina Central and Duke, and one of the forefathers of the fast-paced offense, which Duke was trying to run on its own then and turn the ball over.
They had numbers too, 2-on-1.
Shesky had 33 on Saturday. His only points coming on the first possession of the free throw line, and he'll get called for the charge. Third turnover for the Fighting Irish. Well, coming up next on ESPN, we'll take you to Gallagher-Iba Arena. Jalen Wilson and number 5 Kansas taking on Oklahoma State, and you better watch out for the Pokes. They've won 5 in a row. One of those teams that are sort of quietly surging as we hit mid-February and ready for the top 16 reveal and get closer and closer to Selection Sunday.
We were talking about how hard it is to win on the road in the Big 12 before the game.
Virtually impossible. Billis, I think, coined the phrase, there is no bottom in the Big 12. There are teams who might not be atop the standings, but there's no real bottom. As Filipowski scores, he has a half dozen after a scoreless afternoon against Virginia on Saturday. Kyle back to his normal form in the early going. Here's J.J. Starling, who's returned for Bray. Softly, Grandison clears it away. And Grandison steps into a 3.
You can sense Duke trying to speed the game up a little bit coming off the timeout. They've extended their pressure. They're looking to score quickly in their transition game.
Dane Goodwin, a little fade away. Patent on that shot. He's got 4, both of them on similar looking shots.
Dane Goodwin, Upper Arlington, Ohio, right outside of Columbus. He's had a brilliant career for the Irish.
You know, he's played more games in a Notre Dame uniform than any other player. There is Whitehead, see it and be it, and Duke's back on top. His second triple.
I think Whitehead and his ability to stretch, he brings more depth. He's a very good defender. Now he's setting up his ability off the bounce. Next time he touches the ball, I bet he gets a piece of the paint.
Oh, Goodwin didn't realize Filipowski had fallen down. And had a clean look in the mid-range. Whitehead makes it one shot, and Roach has it to initiate the offense for the Blue Devils.
This is the versatility of Duke on the offensive end. Roach had typically been the point guard, right? But Proctor is taking on about 70% of the offensive load on the top of the floor, which gets Roach off the ball. Right now, he's playing the point.
Roach has really been scoring. And there's another turnover for the Blue Devils. That's 4 of them. And Notre Dame really doesn't force many, as we mentioned. They only force about 9 a game. They're over halfway home.
Usually Notre Dame wins that turnover margin, but against Duke, they win the margin on the glass. That's where it can balance out.
Yes, technically almost halfway home, but we're not yet at halftime, so they're on pace to be above their average. Foul was called on Lubin.
I mean, look at that screen inside by Ryan, who opens up, Ryan Young opens up the floor for Filipowski, and then the skip over the top of the Irish defense. Whitehead doing his job outside the arc, knocking down shots. You know, one of the things John Shire told us today at shoot-around was he loved the way Whitehead brought the motor, the energy, the readiness to the Virginia game. He said he sold him on getting minutes.
Well, he had a solid game offensively when not a lot of guys did. Roach did. Roach hit 7 of 11 from the floor. Hits both free throws there. Duke has a 3-point lead. Krzyzewski cutting. He got called for the offensive foul earlier, able to put on the brakes in time. Ryan Young, who's in for the Blue Devils, gets the rebound.
It's a great slip, but a better rotation defensively to disrupt that play.
And the Irish back man-to-man. They've been switching defenses. Filipowski gets past Starling, but the help is there for the Irish. Tyrese Proctor into the paint. Ball battered around, and Cormac Ryan has it for Notre Dame. Irish a good three-point shooting team. They've made just 1 of 7 so far. Starling a strong drive, but couldn't finish it. Galen Blakes pushes to Roach. Roach gets inside. Young with the offensive rebound, and Young puts it back. Ryan Young is shooting nearly 75% in ACC play, largely because of the high percentage shots he takes.
Notre Dame really has a floor spread. They got two-man side over here with Krzyzewski. There he goes back door.
Shot clock down to 5. Trey Wertz, North Carolina native from Charlotte, and the Blue Devils have it again, up 5. They've scored the last 7. Young thought about it from the top, changed his mind. Roach will not change his mind. Young with another offensive rebound. The putback won't go.
See if they can get Leszewski going on this set right here, Reese. They got the floor spread. They've got Duke's not switching right now. See if they can get something in the middle ball screen, middle third of the floor, right here.
Here comes Nate Leszewski. Screens Proctor, rolls, it couldn't get it to him. Goodwin, shot fake, get past Filipowski and scores. Dane Goodwin snaps the drought for the Irish. He has a half dozen.
Really good execution by Notre Dame. I think everyone got a touch that time.
Little high-low, Goodwin got a hand on it, but Young is able to finish and draw the foul.
Ryan Young is just wearing out that back row, whether it's zone or on the glass against man.
The grad transfer from Northwestern outfights Goodwin, puts it in. He'll have a chance for the three-point play when you come back to Tampa.
You got to find Trey Alexander and not go underneath on that handoff. Duke's 15 points a game, 42% from 3 over the last 5.
Creighton's won 7 straight. Meanwhile, set number 23, NC State at Syracuse, just 4-4 on the road to Wolfpack.
Terquavian Smith finished, but I'll tell you what, everyone says the ACC's down. Don't tell NC State the ACC's down. They're looking for their 21st win tonight.
Back to Reese and Debbie.
Devin, NC State just a game and a half out of the lead. And by the way, Debbie was not pleased to find out they were a 1-point underdog tonight. Sonic Blockbuster on Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Baylor at Kansas. Last 2 national champions. College Game Day will be their 2-hour edition. Starts at 10 a.m. and Duke will be on the road against Syracuse, as North Carolina State is tonight. That will be at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.
I think the Irish could use Fonz's help on the glass right now. And Seth, you're all over Terquavion Smith. I love it. Could be the ACC Player of the Year.
Trey Wertz missed the 3, but Notre Dame will get a fresh 20 on the shot clock. Krzyzewski couldn't handle it and then gets it. And Young, who's been everywhere in the first half, in his first 6 minutes of action, Ryan Young has 6 rebounds already. Not to mention 4 points, and he did just get the foul, but that was also a foul going for the loose ball. And after a productive few minutes, Ryan will take a break.
Ryan Young on the offensive glass, working that weak side during those productive minutes.
Jalen Blake's almost able to pick Hammond's pocket. Shesky on Lively. And there's a call that you see more and more. And it's fitting that the first time I really mentioned the officials tonight on February 14th, it was Teddy Valentine making that call. He's here with John Gaffney and Raymond Steins. Second foul on Leschewski.
Yeah, clearly Leschewski. Good call by Teddy V. Happy Valentine's Day, Teddy Valentine. You know Teddy, every day is Valentine's Day.
Every day is Valentine's Day for Teddy. Mitchell's got it right at that ACC spot in the middle of the zone. Can't get a shot off. Jalen Blakes will get a shot off, and he's wide right.
Let's see if Mitchell can get something going here defensively. That's when he really is on his game. I think he has an incredible motor. He's got the Goodwin matchup right here. Then he gets the switch.
Rubin setting the screen for Hammond. Hammond has it knocked away and taken away by now Blakes is ahead of the field. Blakes with a wild shot. Leschewski gets it and saves it to Ryan. And Jalen just wasn't able to get himself under control and make a strong finish.
He's had a couple of opportunities in transition that they have not completed. That's that detail that I was talking about earlier. Not to overcomplicate it, but to finish those plays.
And Cormac Ryan, who hit a 3 early, is now just 1 of 3, and the Irish are 1 of 9 from behind the arc. Good three-point shooting team typically, but not so at the moment. They're making about 9 threes a game. Top 2 in the ACC.
But it's a 2-possession game, and basketball is about minimizing your mistakes and taking advantage of your advantages in numbers and size and length. And so far, Duke hasn't been able to pull away. They've missed some opportunities in transition, and their offensive rebounding has been the difference.
Coach K seeing a Duke game for the first time since John Shire took over. Devils up by 5. Seth, you know, we were talking to John Shire about it. You hate to continue to belabor it, but I really thought that John handled that entire situation with the utmost maturity. Look, they got back. There's just no 2 ways around it. It wasn't a misjudgment call or something like the hold in the Super Bowl. This was a missed rule. You know, and those are the ones that are the hardest to live with, but he's handled it with, you know, with, I think, maturity, and said he told his team, look, we had a chance to beat Virginia on the road. This shows what the ceiling is and the upside for this team. So take it and use it as fuel as opposed to, you know, sort of wallowing in the fact that they had a bad call go against them. Good kick from Lively to Roach into the corner, and he can't hit the 3. Neither team exactly setting the world on fire shooting right now. Irish are just 1 of their last 8.
And Reese, just to button that up, I mean, John Shire is a no excuses coach, no excuse player. He said he got into his guys pretty good in the locker room after the game about turning the ball over and about playing on the road and how they had a chance. And they didn't want that call to just be something that ended the way they went about their business.
Now with 9 points after that bucket. The Irish, normally a 37% three-point shooting team. They're shooting 10%. Tariq Whitehead, meanwhile, has made all 3 of his. Duke has his biggest lead, and the Irish get one on the board from the freshman Ben Allen Lubin. But, you know, right now, we'll look at this later on. Lenardi has Duke on the 9 line. How would you like to be a 1 seed and see Duke with a healthy Tariq Whitehead, more mature and seasoned Filipowski after a while, as good as he's been all year, and scores immediately on cue. He has 8. That'll be a tough second-round matchup, tough first-round matchup for whoever the 8 would be in the 8-9, if it were to hold that way. Long way to go until the seedings come out, obviously.
I mean, I think Duke's depth is getting better. I think their productivity off the bench is better. They're getting healthier. Lively can do that, alter shots at the rim. That's a heck of a finish inside by J.J. Starling.
He just weaved his way through that Blue Devil defense.
And you got to throw it almost off the shot clock with Lively around the rim.
A shot fake from Filipowski goes in strong, and Kyle's into double figures. Blue Devils up by 8.
He's carried a heavy load for Duke all season, the freshman Kyle Filipowski. Good curl by Goodwin.
And shot out of there by Derek Lively.
There it is, into the 5th row. But you know what? He usually doesn't do that, Reese. He usually blocks it into their transition game. Watch this play right here. It's a great curl by Goodwin, but there's the eraser at the rim.
You looked at every block shot that Lively's had this year, earlier today. There it is, to your point, Debbie.
57% into their transition game, 30 retained by the offense. It just speaks to how much control he has and why he's so important to Duke on the defensive end.
Duke has an opportunity for 2 for 1. Assuming they get a shot up quickly. That may have gone by the boards by now as Notre Dame making it tough. Filipowski spending a lot of time in that lane. Lively can't get the jump hook to go.
The one thing that post players need to learn is where they are in space on the floor, and I think that's something that Lively is going to continue to work on because he definitely has a half hook with both hands. We saw it today in shoot-around.
All right, Notre Dame's going to try to get the final bucket of the half. We'll be back in 30 seconds. It has been an expeditious first half, 20.5 seconds remaining. Notre Dame has the ball down 8. Only 6 fouls called in the entire first half on both teams combined. Mike Bray, in his final season as the Notre Dame head coach, back where he was an assistant for 8 years. The Cameron baby is in the crowd with my autograph on his head, by the way, from our visit with game day. Although perhaps they've, used some type of ink removal by now. Irish have had trouble shooting the ball, only 37%, just 1 of 11 from behind the arc. And with fouls to give, Jalen Blakes is in there reaching. There's the baby, which is ubiquitous.
I wonder what classes that baby might have had today, or where that baby gets to go in the non-basketball season.
It camps out in K-ville. Of course, those tents are gone. The Carolina game was mid-season. Blakes hits the deck, pops back up. Now 5 seconds. Duke still has fouls to give here now, so they can make it extraordinarily difficult on the Irish to get a shot up. That's just the 4th team foul of the first half. Now 5.3 to go. Trey Wirtz, the Charlotte native.
I'd make a direct pass to the block if I could on an out-of-bounds play.
Wirtz gets it to Starling instead. Proctor chasing him, and Starling gets to the bucket and got it on the rim, but it wouldn't go, and we'll go to halftime as the Blue Devils have an 8-point lead. Mike Krzyzewski returning to see the Blue Devils play for the first time since his retirement, and John Shire's team is now up by 8. Time now to send it to Kevin LaFonso and Seth back in the studio for the Jeep halftime report.
The interior, Dariq Whitehead, though, Reese, I think is a disruptor for Duke because I think he changes the way they play and makes it more challenging for defenders, other teams.
Well, Whitehead hit all 3 of his 3-pointers. He was the only Blue Devil to hit a 3-pointer. Notre Dame, for its trouble, was 1 of 11. The Irish have to put one up to beat the shot clock, and Marcus Hammond can't find the bucket. The Blue Devils will have it after a good defensive possession. Duke had 9 assists on his 13 made field goals. You mentioned the struggles that the Irish had from behind the arc, not many turnovers in the game. We've hit on a lot of these things, and Duke sort of settled in after a while. Notre Dame had to lead a couple of times, changed defenses to try to disrupt them, and there's Filipowski, who's up to a dozen now.
I think when the game slows down, Notre Dame can stay in their zone. I think it's their preferred defense against Duke. And when they miss, they do get in their man-to-man. They did that in the first half.
The crazies reminding Marcus Hammond as if he didn't already know that he shot an air ball last time. J.J. Starling, the freshman, A little too hard out the window, and here come the Blue Devils, a chance to push that lead. Roach almost turned it over. Proctor with a catch, Filipowski with the bucket, and Duke is up by a dozen, and Filipowski has 14.
7-1, can catch it on the block and score, catch it in the high post and make a play. It's the quality of the catch for Kyle Filipowski inside that Shire system.
92 seconds in, Bray needs a timeout trying to hang in the game.
Disruptor, Reese. When I say that, I mean he's an emerging skill set and talent. He can stretch the floor. He's capable outside the arc. He can put it on the bounce. He defends inside. They're switching man-to-man. He can guard 1 through 4. I think he's a disruptor because I think he's going to change the way Duke continues to evolve on a positive trend.
Coming down the stretch of the season, it seems as if the Blue Devils' ceiling is extraordinarily high as Goodwin goes past Filipowski and has a chance for a three-point play.
How about Dane Goodwin at 6'6", backing down 7-1. Taking Filipowski to the midline.
And Dane has been in double figures just one time in the past 3 games after he had a string of 10 straight in double figures, and with that this free throw, he is still sitting on 8. Blue Devils by 10, Tyrese Park for the freshman. Eric Lively. Roach, the only non-freshman on the floor for the Blue Devils. There's Filipowski, just knocked away by Leszewski out of bounds. Blue Devils will have it, 13 on the shot clock.
No baskets for Leszewski.
After a 33-point game Saturday against Virginia Tech and a losing effort, they've held him, Debbie, to just 2 field goal attempts. His 2 points came on a couple of free throws on the first possession of the game. And they just picked up his 3rd foul. Roach working on Trey Works.
Take Filipowski right down to the block again with Goodwin on him. They love that twist action in the middle third of the floor.
Filipowski to Mitchell on the skip, and Mitchell knocks down the 3. Martin Mitchell. His first points of the game and first 3 for anyone other than Whitehead for the Blue Devils.
Well, that's an incredible part of his game if he could elevate that.
Oh, Lively swats it off the board. Here comes Duke in transition. Roach pulls up, and Cormac Ryan snuck up behind him and blocked it. Here's Leszewski for 3 buckets.
There it is, Leszewski. That block shot with Lively is what I'm talking about into their transition game. You got to make a better decision. When you get numbers, you have to be efficient offensively in transition.
Oh, a slip pass to Lively, the kick to Filipowski, and he couldn't finish it. 10-point lead for Duke. Here come the Irish. J.J. Starling loses the handle, gets it to Trey Works. Works hit it up the side of the rim, and it'll be Duke basketball.
Filipowski out of the double team, the skip to Mitchell. Boy, if that could become a consistent part of his game. And then the block by Lively off the glass, not into the 5th row. Leszewski doing a nice job in transition, pulling up and getting his feet under his shoulders.
Yeah, you mentioned Mitchell adding that to his game. He shot a good percentage this year, but that was only his 14th. Made 3 of the year, but the percentage has been in the mid-30s all season. And trying to get it in the block to Van Allen Lubin. They pass it out of bounds. 7th Notre Dame turnover of the night. Notre Dame's not very deep. In fact, only Rice plays fewer bench minutes than do the Fighting Irish. They've worn down late in some games, too, and lost some close ones. Close games that they won a year ago when they won 15 ACC games and a couple of games in the NCAA tournament. There's Mitchell going strong, and Teddy Valentine has a block. Mitchell will go to the line. John Shire told us today he wanted Mitchell not to think, not to freeze up, just go play. He's done that in the early moments here in the second half. and Allen Fieldhouse for Kansas and Baylor, the last two national champions. A little bit of a slow start, especially in conference play for the Bears, and somehow, despite being in the top 10, it's almost as if they've been slightly overlooked. I wouldn't advise that. Jonathan Chama-Chachua returning for Scott Drew's team. They won the first matchup against the Jayhawks. Return engagement Saturday afternoon in Lawrence. Mitchell makes both free throws. Whitehead returns. Leschewski, by the way, that last foul that sent Mitchell to the free throw line was Nate's fourth, so as if Notre Dame didn't have enough problems. Now their most potent offensive weapon is on the bench with 4 fouls. There's just under 16 minutes to play. There's Tyrese Proctor. Whitehead liked that corner 3. Good closeout by the Irish. Ryan Young, very productive in the first half, and he continues here in the second. He's got a half dozen.
Ryan Young was 2 for 3 in the first half with 6 boards and 4 points. He's filling it up in that 5 spot.
He did it in 6 minutes too, Debbie. He was cleaning up the window while he was in. His first season with the Blue Devils after playing for Northwestern. Cormac Ryan, Proctor is all over, and then there's another one. Rubin gets it and puts it back in on the second shot.
Rubin doing work inside.
The physical freshman from Orlando. He's got 6 now. He's been in double figures in the last 3 games he's played. 2 of those coming after missing a couple of games.
You know, Reese, I'm looking at the combinations that John Shire puts on the floor, and I think John Shire is an excellent play caller by his personnel, right? When the ball's offense is in front of his bench. But I'm liking the way Whitehead is developing, and I really like Mitchell on the floor with him because of his motor. Can you imagine what that's like in practice? You gotta get in there and see that.
Proctor was all over Ryan. Notre Dame off the scramble, gets it to the bucket and draws the foul. Foul was called on Filipowski. It's his second.
When I asked John Shire today at shoot-around what he was most worried about, or the last thing that he watches on film when he's prepping for Notre Dame, he said their ability to make shots. 6 graduate students, they got experience. Well, they're switching man-to-man with their high hands, and their ability to move their feet has been outstanding.
Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, the new #1 team in the land, Alabama, on the road to take on Tennessee. Crimson Tide coming off a victory at Auburn on Saturday, and Brandon Miller back in his home state lead the Crimson Tide against the Volunteers.
Crazy atmosphere, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and it will be again on Wednesday night. Speaking of teams who can put a lot of different combinations and a lot of different weapons on the floor, Nate Oates can do that with the Crimson Tide, but they'll be sorely tested by that great Tennessee defense, and the Volunteer team's lost a couple of heartbreakers of late, a couple of buzzer beaters. Ryan with the pickpocket on Filipowski, draws a little contact from Whitehead, and Brady Valentine's got the block. It's Tariq's first personal. So as dire and as hopeless as it seems for Notre Dame in terms of the shooting hasn't been there tonight. They're 2 of 15 from 3, shooting just 34% overall. Cormac Ryan is now cut it to single digits. Ryan, who had 28 in the Irish victory in Cameron Indoor the last time they were here a couple of years ago. But there was no one chanting air ball at him because the arena was empty.
Well, and how long do you keep Nate Leschewski on the bench with those 4 fouls? As long as it stays within 2 or 3 possessions, if you can keep it there and take off some of that time while you're trying to dig back in it, it's going to have to be on with your defense.
Jacob Grandison in. And there is Ryan Young with another rebound. He finds Grandison, who missed the dunk, but he got fouled on his way to the bucket. Bray expressing his dismay. Second foul called on Lubin. Madison hasn't shot a lot of free throws this year, but he hasn't missed any either. He's 13 for 13 now. Bray didn't like the call. I can't say that I blame him. That looked like all ball, and I don't think he got him on the follow-through. But sometimes you get a great free throw shooter, and ball does lie, and he gets the 2 free throws anyway. 44-33. Duke up by 11. Here's Starling down the boulevard.
What a move. Gets to that rim, uses his body to protect the shot blocker from behind.
It's a 9-point game again. Methodical pace favoring the Irish. They just haven't been able to knock out a lot of shots. Oh, Whitehead.
Good D by Ryan.
Mitchell's going to try another 3. And Wirtz has the rebound for Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame could put a little game pressure on Duke if they could score here.
And Whitehead bumps Wirtz on his drive. It's Tariq's second foul. How about that drive from the McDonald's All-American J.J. Starling?
I mean, it's a good job of playing off that loop and screen, getting the switch, Ryan Young, and taking him to the basket, using his body. Look at that stretch.
Jeremy Roach is going to get a break as Tyrese Proctor returns for John Shire's team. Jeremy just with 4 tonight. Had a tough shooting night, just 1 of 8. He has really been playing well all around, but particularly offensively. He shot the ball well in recent games. At 16 on 7 of 11 shooting against Virginia. Had a 20-point game against Carolina here. Starling again, tipped up by Lubin, can't go. Proctor almost lost it out of bounds, and it looked as if he did, and the Irish have it back. Goodwin with an open 3.
Great hustle by the Irish. Keep the ball alive. Quick trigger by Goodwin. Timeout for the Blue Devils.
They're just hanging around. A 6-point deficit for Notre Dame. We're back to Cameron in 30 seconds. Its way back into the game. You see the Irish just refusing to give up. Coming up with the loose ball and turning it into a 3. Earlier today at practice, Debbie, I was talking with Cormac Ryan, veteran guard for Mike Bray's team. And Cormac said, you know, the narrative around this team, 2-12 in the ACC, 5 games under 500 overall, is that we're defeated, that we, you know, feeling sorry for ourselves, sort of giving up. He said, I haven't seen that. He said, we've had plays not go our way. And he pointed out that last year they won a lot of the close games, that they haven't been able to make the final plays this year, but he said he's seen no quit. Now, so far, as Notre Dame makes another scrappy hustle play, Cormac has been right on target with his perception of his team's effort. Notre Dame with the ball down 6 as we go inside the 12-minute mark.
No question, they're accelerating through their sets. They're switching up their defense. They're staying with Duke on the glass. They don't turn it over. They've minimized the mistakes inside this game. They just haven't made enough shots, but they're on a run right now.
He works a fade away. Grandison clears it away. They have come up with 6 turnovers from the Blue Devils. Now, Duke has turned it over 43 times in the previous 2 games. But Notre Dame's not a defense that typically forces a lot of turnovers, but the Irish have come up with some loose balls of late. Rolls off the rim, and Notre Dame has it again. Whitehead has missed his 2 shots in the second after a perfect first half. Good win. Oh, how about the soft touch? Might have gotten a little help from some basket interference. Either way, it went in.
Exactly.
And it's now a 4-point game as Goodwin has 13. And the Cameron Crazies awaken from their slumber.
They need to attack the paint, not settle for a jump shot here. Look to be aggressive.
Filipowski on the bench.
There's that twist screen on the top, Reese.
Mitchell has it inside. It's knocked away by Wirtz. So 3.4 on the shot clock. And Duke will have to get one quickly. And they've got a couple of offensive weapons returning with Jeremy Roach and Kyle Filipowski. Coming back, Blue Devils have been almost 5 minutes of game time without a field goal. Filipowski for three. Roach with the offensive rebound, fresh 20. He'll shoot the fadeaway.
That is a big-time board on the weak side. Duke's situational offense, their baseline out-of-bounds plays, their ATOs after timeouts have been very good.
And that's the kind of bucket you expect from your captain. Roach, the leader of this team, not the biggest guy with the offensive rebound in the bucket. Now the miss from Ryan, who has had a tough shooting night. Now just 1 of 7, 1 of 5 from behind the arc. Roach into the paint to Filipowski, and he's fouled. I thought for a second he wasn't going to get that call either, but he got that one. Second one on Starling. How about this play from the captain, Jeremy Roach?
He goes way up for this. Sees his advantage and then a little fadeaway in the paint. Good offensive board for a point guard.
How about that veteran move to sort of vaulting off the freshman, J.J. Starling, with the offhand. Make sure he couldn't out jump. And Filipowski now has 15.
I like all that middle ball screen action that Duke runs. I think that's very challenging to guard when they have the right personnel in there. And that twist action I'm talking about is when they screen and then they re-screen.
What is it about that you think makes it particularly difficult to guard?
I think most teams are in drop coverage in that, and you certainly would be in drop coverage with Lively because he's not a threat to shoot it. But it opens up the space on the floor and it gets them to the mid-range, to the elbows where they can make plays.
And Roach makes another play with the steal. He's in the open floor. He puts it up. Lively with a foul. And Mike Bray is going to use a timeout. The Blue Devils answer with a 6-0 run to breathe a little life into the Crazies. His strong suit offensively right now.
I mean, this is a great follow in transition. No doubt about it. A couple of dunks tonight for Lively and a couple of block shots as well. Look, between him and Ryan Young, if they can get somewhere between 16 and 12 and 5 block shots, Ryan Young is very good at rotating to draw a charge. That's pretty good out of the 5 position.
Well, over about 75% of his made field goals have been flushes this year. Goodwin trying to back down Proctor, fade, fire, and fill it up again. Dane Goodwin is using that one.
I didn't know Dane Goodwin had the Barkley back down in his game.
Goodwin has been desperately trying to keep the Irish in, and he's got 15. Lively coming out to set that screen. Debbie was talking about now the high pass that Roach saves, and Goodwin had it and was on the line, but I think John Gaffney's going to say that Duke knocked it out of bounds.
How do you think that view is over there for Coach K? For the first time in Cameron, watching what goes on in here.
They're just showing the replay, and the Crazies are reacting. Coach K stoic. Arms folded. That's what you have to do. You know, he has been intentional about giving John Shire space, and Shire said, "You need space. Glad to have you around." Proctor all the way. That's Proctor's first bucket of the night.
You don't need space, Coach K. Your name's on the court. You can come whenever you want.
That's what
Come sit up here with us if you want sometime.
That's what John said. He said he can sit anywhere he wants, including right there by where his name's written on the court. Rubin working hard on the boards, but Proctor comes away with it for the Blue Devils. Inside 8 to play. Duke with a 10-point lead.
roll replace action. So hard to guard for Duke.
Foul is going to be called on Hammond as we go to the break. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. It's easy to bundle your home and car insurance at progressive.com. Thank you very much. I'm sure Debbie will keep an eye on the goings-on between the Orange and the Wolfpack. NC State starting tonight, just a game and a half out of first.
I mean, what you're fighting for is one of those top 4 seeds in the ACC tournament, with a few weeks left to go before that's determined.
Get to the ACC tournament, seeing be a welcome sight for Panthers fans, seeing Pittsburgh wearing those home whites for quite a while in the tournament. And whether they finish first or second, Duke's going to get a third bite at the apple on this possession.
This is where John Shire essentially has 2 point guards on the floor.
And Filipowski is going to be called for the foul. That's 3 on him. Shire displeased.
The second bump is displacement. That's a foul. All the officials are doing are adjudicating the rules.
Novel concept. No, that's not nice. That's a flagrant one on me. Leschewski returns, playing with the 4 fouls. Notre Dame down 10, and they need him. Hasn't had his best offensive night, just 1 of 3 from the floor. Duke's done a really good job on him defensively, limiting his opportunities. Goodwin, meanwhile, has been exceptional. He spins. It's time to the left hand. How about a little counter move instead of the fadeaway?
Wow. Brilliant.
Goodwin with 17 points. He's only missed 2 shots. He's 8 of 10 from the floor.
Coming off the bench.
Well, he said they wanted to start Starling tonight, kind of get him going. And Goodwin, veteran guy, comfortable in any role in an Irish uniform. Leschewski gets the rebound. And Notre Dame, I'll give them this, they just won't go away.
That might be one Coach Shire might look at on film tomorrow. And they're going to look at this one, too.
Goodwin has plenty, and just when it looked as if the Irish were about to get blown out, they're back to within 5.
Lively's got Leschewski on him. He's got to go into the paint with him.
Roach off the back iron, made a strong move inside. Goodwin has scored the last 12 for Notre Dame. Works, tries to get a couple, he can't. Proctor. And Notre Dame gets back very well, and Tyrese didn't have any numbers. He does have Filipowski with it. Whitehead pass to Filipowski for the layup. Great look from the freshman to the other freshman, Derek Whitehead to Kyle Filipowski. Goodwin keeps that scoring streak going. Good win! Make it the last 14 for the Irish, and a chance to have a 3-point play.
Dane Goodwin off the bench tonight for Notre Dame. 6 points in the first half. Look at what he's doing here in the second with his offhand.
He has a chance to score his 23rd point. His season high is 24 earlier this year against Lipscomb. Career high of 27. He's done that a couple of times. He's got just under 5.5 minutes to get there, and the Irish will probably need him to have a chance, and it's a 4-point game.
This is the kind of game pressure that you want to put on Duke and make this young team have to execute. Now you start thinking you've lost 2 in a row. You had a chance to put them away.
Blue Devils undefeated at home this season. Goodwin and Lively are tied up. They'll call the jump ball. It'll stay with the Blue Devils. Only a handful of teams, only 5 power conference teams undefeated at home. Duke is one of them.
Well, here's that fight you were talking about that Cormac Ryan was saying about this team. This doesn't look like a defeated team at all, and it doesn't look like a 2-12 team in the ACC either. They are really connected on both ends of the floor tonight against Duke.
Shot clock at 5. Filipowski down the boulevard. He's got the easy one. He now has 20 points after that scoreless day in Charlottesville. Blue Devil lead to 6.
Keep in mind, he hasn't practiced the last couple of days, hurting his ankle on that play at the end of regulation against Virginia. He's got great footwork.
Goodwin back on the block, this time working on Grandison. See what move he's got this time. The fadeaway again, and it goes down again. A season high 25 for Dane Goodwin.
Jon Scheyer wants to know who's going to guard Dane Goodwin.
11 of 13 from the floor. Leschewski has struggled tonight. Cormac Ryan has struggled tonight. And Dane Goodwin has just put the Fighting Irish on his back and waking up the echoes of some good days gone by for Notre Dame. There's not a bad seat in the house. There's one bad seat if you're behind Omos. 7'3" wrestler in to catch some Duke basketball. And all of a sudden you wind up behind Omos. Peeking around him, but at least she was giving him bunny years. 56-52. It's been the Dane Goodwin show for Notre Dame, and Tyrese Proctor goes in and gets his second bucket of the night. Just 4 points, pushes the lead back to 6. Goodwin has Notre Dame's last 17 points, and the Irish turn it over.
And that's the kind of execution coming off the timeout that I was referring to earlier about Jon Scheyer. An excellent play caller, ATO, sets up a great play with multiple options. And Tyrese Proctor does a great job turning the corner.
Inside 4 minutes to go in Cameron Indoor.
Same set.
Proctor. Too long off the rim. Scrap for it. And guess who? Dane Goodwin's done everything else. He might as well get the rebound.
It's got to be for Goodwin, right? I mean, got to ride the hot hand.
A season high 25, just 2 off his career high. Shot clock at 10. Proctor sort of face guarding Goodwin. Now the lead for Leschewski, and it's blocked by Filipowski. Great defense by the Duke freshman. Leschewski's been held to 1 field goal on 4 attempts tonight after scoring 33 against Virginia Tech on Saturday. We've hit the 3-minute mark. Blue Devils with the ball in a 6-point lead. Jeremy Roach to the bucket.
Filipowski with a twist. Clear out one side. Excellent execution. Really hard to guard.
Trey Wirtz driving on Filipowski and scoring. It's his first bucket of the night, and the first one by anyone not named Goodwin in a long time for the Irish.
Notre Dame back to the zone. Good call by Mike Bray.
Great pass inside the zone. Filipowski misses it, and a foul is called inside. And if it's on Leschewski, he's done.
You know what? I know you're going to think I think that's a patient whistle by John Gaffney. The ball went in. I don't think the foul would have been called.
I'm not a fan of that, though. If it's a foul, it's a foul. Call it. If it's not, don't.
Watch the delay here.
You think it was a foul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Mike Bray begs to differ, I believe, but that's the end of the night for Leschewski. You know, he came into the night, Debbie, was a foregone conclusion. He was 1 basket away from 1,500 points for his Notre Dame career, and 1 basket was all he got. He fouls out with 5 points. Made a couple of free throws, and it's been a tough night for the big fella. Had a lot of great moments in a Notre Dame uniform. This has been a tough season for them. Boy, what a turnaround for Kyle Filipowski. Virginia defense had his number. as they do so many young players,
Right,
and so many veteran players for that matter, but tonight.
Especially bigs, Reese, when you're playing against Tony Bennett's system, because they're always going to double the block.
Filipowski now with 22, and the Blue Devil lead is 8, and Notre Dame's going to need some offense and need it in a hurry if they're going to give them a finish here. Here's Starling down the middle, and he can't get it to go. Another opportunity for the Irish. Cormac Ryan for 3. 5-point game. Just his 7th point tonight. Irish a little pressure in the back court.
I like Filipowski here.
Filipowski pops out. Now he'll drive on Lubin. Spin to the basket. It's blocked by Van Allen Lubin. 90 seconds to play in Cameron. Starling for 3. He's got it, and it's a 2-point game.
Full court pressure by Notre Dame. They just got to get a stop right here. I go right back to Filipowski.
Roach dribbling toward the sideline, and John Shire wants a timeout with 1:11 to go. And Mike Bray's last trip into Cameron Indoor Arena as the head coach of the Irish. They're putting the fighting into the Fighting Irish tonight.
25 made threes coming into the game. A 30% three-point shooter. J.J. Starling with a huge triple here late.
The last time the Irish were in this building, just a little over 2 years ago, Cormac Ryan, who just hit that 3, went off. He had a career high at the time, 28 points. Prentice Hub, with a shot clock winding down, he had 15 in the game. The Irish had their largest lead of the night after that one. Duke got close, but Wendell Moore Jr. with a chance late. And Notre Dame came out with a 93-89 victory, a much different atmosphere this time. Of course, that was 2 years ago, no one in the arena. Tonight, Cameron Crazies got comfortable a couple of times, but Notre Dame just continues to stick around.
Poised, mature, veteran, did not get rattled. Never let the game really get separate. They never let Duke separate from them. They came back with a great punch. And Dane Goodwin is the guy right here down the stretch for Notre Dame.
Blue Devils have led by as many as 14 in the second half. Right now, their lead is 2 as we hit the 1-minute mark. Jeremy Roach. Jeremy will go to the free throw line.
I love that set. Back-to-back ghost screens. And Jeremy Roach turns the corner hard to the rim.
Roach just 3 of 12 from the floor. Hasn't made a 3 tonight, but solid free throw shooter at 74%. He's made both of his tries tonight.
And Lively and Mitchell waiting at the scores table for defensive purposes to substitute in.
Never a doubt. The Blue Devil captain, he's got 9. There's the substitution you referenced, Debbie. Great shot blocker, Lively returns. Allen rolls out, and Notre Dame with a 3 could tie the game. Hand off to Starling. Lubin tried to set him a screen. Notre Dame running its offense really high. Let's see if they can find Goodwin. Starling drives to the bucket. J.J. Starling makes it a 1-point game.
What a take.
That's why you're a McDonald's All-American, right?
That's exactly right. It's who you trust in these situations as a coach.
About a 5 to 6 second differential in the shot and game clock.
I love that pass-through action.
And Notre Dame content to play it out here, Deb. Mitchell for 3 in the corner. He got it! Bird Mitchell with a huge 3. The first and slightest reaction from Mike Krzyzewski, who's watching Duke play in person for the first time this year. How about the lefty lining it up and knocking it down?
You absolutely help off Mark Mitchell on the strong corner. Now that's a concept, some don't. But in this situation, how about Mitchell hitting the biggest three, I'm guessing, of his Blue Devil career?
It's his second one tonight, and it makes it a two-possession game with 10.8 seconds to go. And that might have been the finishing touch Duke needed tonight.
You're definitely playing the analytics there, Reese. I mean, most teams don't help off the strong side corner. But it's Mitchell in the corner, who is a 30% three-point shooter, but under duress to be able to make that shot. Wow.
We mentioned earlier, he hasn't attempted a lot of them, but boy, that was a gargantuan one from the corner. As soon as we're done, number 5 Kansas on the road at Oklahoma State. Cowboys have won 5 in a row. Jalen Wilson and company trying to set up that showdown with Baylor and come in with a win. Kansas gets the Bears at Fog Allen on Saturday afternoon. Every game in the Big 12 this year seems like it's just an absolute battle to the finish, much like, somewhat surprisingly, this one has been tonight. So Duke's going to try to make Notre Dame use up some of that clock, and they have put a few tenths of a second back on. Notre Dame will have 11 seconds to work with, down by 4.
You got to make Notre Dame come back to the ball. You got to make them work here. Don't give up a 3.
Starling to the bucket again, and the tip in from Lubin, 3.9 to go, 2-point game. Now they've got to foul quickly. And Cormac Ryan wanted the jump ball, but John Gaffney's going to call the foul on it. So the first foul on Ryan, Tyrese Proctor.
This is his first trip to the free throw line tonight.
Proctor has been an excellent free throw shooter, making 39 of 45, 87% coming into the game. He makes them both. That should wrap it up for the Blue Devils.
He's got a cool demeanor about him. His maturity and his confidence level, you can see it growing on him each game. Officials looking to make sure the time is correct.
Well, just a few seconds remaining in this game here gives us an opportunity to give you a reminder that we hope that you're able to help the people affected by the earthquake in Turkey. The American Red Cross, you can donate now at redcross.org/ESPN. And as you look there, that is Duke's Stanley Borden, who is a native of Turkey, and Stanley has organized a 7.8-kilometer run on East Campus tomorrow, 7.8 due to the magnitude of the earthquake in Turkey. His family wasn't directly affected, thankfully, but so many people were in such a terrible tragedy, and Stanley has done a great job already organizing and raising money. A ton of donations have come in, and a lot of people across campus will be part of that run tomorrow. And Stanley Borden doing his part to help people who have been devastated in his native country.
Essentially, this is like almost icing the shooter since Proctor standing at the free throw line.
They gave him half a second, so Debbie, it'll be 3 seconds, and Proctor's been in that key area for a while. There are those who say don't go in there until the late if there's some type of delay. Let's see if it bothers the Australian.
So 3 seconds would be like 3 actions.
Got the first.
So for Notre Dame, 3 actions, Reese. Catch, dribble, dribble, shoot. Maybe 2 dribbles here if you can catch it at midcourt.
Proctor, ice water in the veins, made them both. 4-point lead for Duke. Starling, and that's how it's going to end. The Blue Devils remain perfect at home, but man, oh man, did the Irish give them a fight. And Mike Brey, winningest coach in Notre Dame history, more than 2 decades the Fighting Irish head coach, 8 years as an assistant here. In his last trip into Cameron Indoor Stadium, congratulating the Duke players.